What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Adventures in Business podcast. My name is Ryan Jones, and I'm your host. I am so excited about this episode today. This is with an entrepreneur that I've been following for quite some time now, and always kind of wondered, been curious of how they did things behind the scenes. And, how did the product get made? How did it get to the customer? How did they grow over time? What did it look like when they got started? I've got all these questions, and I was like, you know what? I started this series on my YouTube channel. I sent them a DM, and I was like, hey, I'd love to do an episode together if you had some time. And they got back to me the same day and was like, yeah, let's do it. So here we are. So this company, if you're in the state of Kentucky, you know who this company is. If you're not in the state of Kentucky, you still might know who this company is. But this entrepreneur, I'm delighted to be able to sit down with her, learn from her, and share her story. Please enjoy my episode with Tal Green, the co-owner and founder of Crank and Boom Ice Cream in Lexington, Kentucky. So what inspired you to get into ice cream?
So why ice cream? It really was an accident. I didn't mean to get into ice cream, but at the time, my parents and I owned a restaurant, family restaurant, Thai Orchid Cafe. And after 5 years of operating that restaurant with them, my husband and I purchased the restaurant from them and decided we wanted a fun dessert option. And I fell in love with this coconut ice cream that they serve in Thailand. They're kind of like hot dog carts in New York, but there's like a coconut ice cream cart on every corner. They're just everywhere. And the coconut there is so fresh, and I just love that coconut ice cream. And I thought, what an amazing offering if we could have coconut ice cream in a restaurant after people have had Thai food. So I started making coconut ice cream. I bought a little Cuisinart homemaker off of Amazon, and I didn't know how to make ice cream.
Which is the one downstairs, right?
Yeah, the same model as the one downstairs, just a little 2-quart Cuisinart, and I figured out how to actually use it from a YouTube video and found a recipe online. So if we didn't have the internet, none of this would have happened at all. So I started making coconut ice cream just in these tiny batches with the coconut milk that we had in our store and using kind of the same flavor profiles that we would use to cook our other food. And it just turned out so great, and I loved it. And I was like, this tastes just like it does back home in Thailand. And after that, it became this very fun, creative canvas for me. I'd been cooking on the line at the restaurant for 5-6 years at that point. And having this dessert and having this blank canvas of ice cream was very cool and very fun. And so we were already going to the farmer's market for the restaurant and working with different farms around town. And so instead of just picking up veggies, we would pick up fruit and other things to put into the ice cream. So, our second flavor that we made after coconut was sweet potato pie. So our partner farm in Georgetown, Elmwood Stock Farm, they had this huge pile of sweet potatoes that year and said, please just take some sweet potatoes. So I roasted them, put them in the ice cream, made a candied pecan to put in it, and made sweet potato pie ice cream, and thought it turned out pretty good, and started making other fun flavors like coffee stout. I threw North Lime donuts, so I had a glazed donut flavor, and I was still making it in this tiny little ice cream maker just to have fun with it. And at the time, we just had Facebook. And so I would post about what the ice cream flavors were that day. And I could see the excitement from folks liking our Facebook posts on ice cream more than our specials on Thai food. And I would rotate. I usually had 4 or 5 flavors rotating around. And so we had a specials board. We'd always list what ice cream we were serving. And I would say probably 6 months of doing this, just me toying around with ice cream as a dessert option. We had someone come in, it was January, someone came in and there was blizzarding outside, like sideways, where it was just all white. And I could see it, I was sitting at the counter, just, passing the time because there's nobody in the restaurant because it's blizzarding. And this lady who was in this parka, like an Eskimo parka, and she, was all tucked in her parka, and she parked out front, ran into the store. And I asked her what I could get for her. Can I help you? What would you like? And she said, oh, I'm just here for the ice cream. And this was in January when it's blizzarding outside, which is not normal ice cream season. And at that moment, I think my husband and I had this moment like, this this is crazy. Like, why are people coming in and they're not even ordering Thai food and they just want this ice cream that we're making? And so I could tell that it was resonating with people, and people could tell when you're making, because we're making it, like homemade ice cream, just with regular ingredients and with real ingredients. And I thought, well, if you can make ice cream this way, and just same way with any food that you make, you start with really great ingredients, you get a better end product. Right. And it tasted nothing like I was used to from, grocery store ice cream. And this was when, craft beer and craft food was starting to just kind of come about, where people were really paying attention to what they were eating and what was being put into food. And I really wanted to take those same philosophies that we had applied to our Thai food to this ice cream that we were making. So we would find other local partners, like find a beer partner to do coffee stout ice cream, and get fresh strawberries from the farmer's market, make strawberry ice cream. And so, the ice cream and how it came to be was just from me toying around and having something fun to do in the restaurant, because otherwise I was making a lot of this other food over and over again. So it was just a fun, creative outlet for me. And
was the restaurant doing well?
The restaurant was doing great. And, we would be busy, during the regular season, and then summer was kind of quiet. And so it actually made sense. We said, well, if people really like this ice cream, and we started putting it in just our soup containers, because people asked, like, will you pack it so I can take it home and I don't have to just get a scoop? I said, sure, yeah, we can do that. So we packed it in a soup container and slapped a label on it, and there it went. And that was our first packaged ice cream product. And we would, Mike and I would look at each other and think, well, maybe it would be fun to sell at the farmer's market, because that feels like that makes sense, because we're already getting ingredients for the farmer's market, and people who are shopping there care about what's going into their food. That seems like a natural fit. So we started, we bought a cart and started making ice cream in a larger capacity, more than the 2-quart Cuisinart, and upgraded to an actual commercial machine, which the bottom line commercial machine was $10,000. And so I was really nervous about that, because I was like, I can't spend $10,000 on a machine that we don't even know what this is going to be.
It's a big risk.
And yeah, it was a huge risk. And Mike, who is the numbers guy, he said, I've crunched some numbers. If you can sell 1.5 pints a day for the next 5 years, we'll be okay financially. I was like, well, I can do that. I mean, I can go stand on the corner and sell 1.5 pints a day. And so with that, with those thoughts in mind, we just were like, oh, okay, well, we'll get this machine. Oh, suddenly we can make a whole lot more. Instead of 2 quarts at a time, we make 6 quarts at a time in, a third of the time that it takes. And that's how it started. We just made it in the back of our restaurant and started selling it within the restaurant, as well as going out to farmers markets and going to events. Those first few seasons, anytime anyone asked us to be anywhere, we just said yes to everything. So we were at Woodland Art Fair, we were at Crave, we were at a 10-person birthday party, anything that anyone would ask, we would just say yes to everything, because we just wanted to get the ice cream in front of people. And, it's amazing now, because some of those farmer markets, I would stand out in front of the cart trying to give people free ice cream to try. And because it was new and they didn't know what it was, they would just shake their head and run away. Yeah. I was like, it's just ice cream, I promise. But it just shows you the challenges when you're starting out and nobody knows who you are. Right. And you don't have any sort of established relationship with customers or, anyone who's going to buy your product. And so it took a lot of just I promise it's just ice cream. I would just like you to try it. And then, as we started going to more events, we started building this line. I almost wanted to start an Instagram account just for our line that we would have at these different events. I think the longest line I counted was about 110 people who would wait an hour at these festivals that we would go, because that was the only place you could get it other than our restaurant. So at the time, people would follow us on social media, Facebook at the time, and Twitter, trying to figure out where we were going to be. But that's how we built the business. We, just went to these local festivals. We tried to get our name out there. We worked really, really hard to be good vendors everywhere we went, to build great relationships with the people we encountered, and to just, get product in front of people. And, the same service we would give at our restaurant, we wanted to transfer that to all these mobile events that we were doing. So if it was, my husband and I working, or me and, a 15-year-old working, like we offered the same level of service as if you were in our full service restaurant. So transferring all those philosophies that we have about serving people and being hospitable, like that transfer, even if we're 100 degrees in a tent and a cart, and that's it. But that's how we started to build the brand.
Yeah, and you grew up in the restaurant industry.
I did.
Like as a child, right?
I did, yeah. So all of this it's new, but it's not new, because I've grown up serving people. We're from a culture, Thai culture is very hospitable. If you've ever gone to Thailand, it's called the land of smiles for a reason, because people there are very happy and they're there to serve and be hospitable and want to be great hosts. So that has been ingrained in my culture, as well as like growing up and being in food service. And so I learned all those skills from my parents, just watching them do it and them teaching me, and then just living it as a child. And so, yeah, all that has been the foundation of what we built here.
You can feel that too, because like you guys have been so good to Kate and I today.
we like to say
you've taken a whole day for us to do this, which has been awesome.
Yes.
Showed us around and then gave us some gifts.
Yes.
And a whole box of ice cream.
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't think anything less, and we don't even have to tell the crew. They just know this is what we do. When we have guests, like we just want to take care of people. And I just think, especially in the world now, we just need more kindness, and we need more of that. We need more of people thinking about other people, and how can you serve other people, and how can you go above and beyond and make that person feel like, wow, I'm important and I'm taken care of, and like all those things. We want to evoke all those feelings for anybody who comes in contact with our team, our product, all those things.
And you never know when that sort of moment of kindness is going to change someone's whole trajectory of the day, or their life, or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So. And when we train our team, we talk about, we're not in the business of ice cream. We're in the business of memories. We're in the business of kindness. We're in the business of creating those moments for people. So, we're in this event space now. I can't tell you how many baby showers we've hosted, how many wedding showers we've hosted. We actually hosted a wedding up here one time, and we've had rehearsal dinners. So these important moments in people's lives, and not even those like big moments, but hey, you've got straight A's, we're gonna go get ice cream. Or I just left the hospital where my dad is battling cancer. I need something to pick me up and cheer me up, so I'm gonna go get ice cream. And so it's just creating those memories and those moments that bring more joy to people's lives is why we're here. And we happen to make really good ice cream that helps facilitate that as well.
And so the space that we're in, what led you to the space that we're in? We're in the distillery district in Lexington, which when you all went into the space, there was only maybe a couple businesses here.
Right.
What led you here? And then did you see this vision of what it is today?
Yes and no. So the way we came in, encountered this building was a friend of mine who's a real estate agent had dropped his card off at our cart at the farmer's market, and the card got to me, and I got an email from him saying, hey, I think you all should open a store. And this is a few years after we had been purely mobile, because I really didn't want to open a store because I already had a restaurant, and it's a lot of work to have a brick and mortar restaurant. And I really didn't want another restaurant because I just didn't know how that would fit into our very, very full life already. And so he sent me a few spaces, and I'm a nerdy real estate person. I love looking at buildings. So I sent it to my husband, who also is a nerdy real estate person who loves looking at buildings. And he said, one of the listings was this building. And he said, hey, that is my building. And I said, what do you mean it's your building? And he said, I've loved that building since I have lived here. And he had, at the time, he's lived here for 20, 30 years. And he said, I always wondered why nobody developed this area, because we have a distillery, literally a distillery 2 minutes from downtown. Why has nobody done something with this space? And he said, we have to go take a look at it. I said, okay, that's fine. And so before we were going to come, there was going to be like an open house here. There was an event that a few people had put on. And, there was only, I think, one business that was officially open at that time. And they had this event out here over where we were just eating pizza in like that little gravel area. Mm-hmm. And there was like a trailer and a bluegrass band playing, and kind of these tiki torches that were up outside. And there was a fire dancer. And then there was a food cart from someone who had a restaurant here who's no longer there, but he had his little food cart because he was going to take the space there to open his restaurant. And just the whole energy, and like 200 people showed up for this like underground event that I just by chance heard about it and came down and just thought, well, this is fun. It's like there's a fire dancer and a bluegrass band, and there's no structure, there's no seats, there's just people here gathering and having this great time. And I just thought, oh my God, I just want to be a part of that too. And so we got to look at this building, and the second I walked up the stairs and I saw this space that we're in now, it clicked for me. I said, this would be an awesome dance party room. We have had a few dance parties up here, but I just thought, what an awesome space to have a party. And then what a cool place to be to have an ice cream shop. And let's throw booze in there too, because that would be fun. And so it was a huge risk because we had there were a few other businesses starting, mm-hmm. but there was not a lot of support in terms of the development. There was no parking lot. And it just seemed a little out there. And I know after we had been open for a few years, like I had different people come up to me and say, oh yeah, I looked at that building. It was a piece of crap. It's like, it was a piece of crap, but we took the time and the money and the energy to develop it into the space that it is now. Yeah. So we kind of, I felt like, man, if we keep developing these buildings, we as like a collective, one of the unique things about this area is that there's not one developer, and mm-hmm. we have multiple business and multiple property owners that are all local. And so you don't have some giant outside developer coming in trying to make it a certain way. And I think that's what makes the energy and the vibe so cool, because it's all local folks trying to create something that feels fun and is like what I call a love letter to Lexington, because I love Lexington. And I feel like, can we be a part of something that makes our city so cool? Mm-hmm. And is that one of our goals was, because when you have people out of town, you probably have a list in your head of like 3 or 5 things that you want to do or go see. And so one of our goals was, how can we make this so fun that every person that has an out of town person says, we got to go to Crank and Boot. Like, you have to go see this place, or you got to go try this place. And it becomes an icon of the city, like Keeneland or the Horse Park or something else. And that's always been one of our goals. And I feel like it's kind of become that. Yeah. When people come to this town, it's a part of the culture, and it's a part of, if you want to feel what Lexington is, like, you got to come to this place. Yeah. So yeah, that's how we found this place.
And you've since expanded from this place. So like, at what point did you say our business really needs to expand and we need to do more?
Well, we didn't necessarily think like, oh, we got to really open a second store, but we had the opportunity to go into a new development called the Summit, into a food barn. So it's a food hall, and there were going to be all these local food purveyors with our friends, our restaurant friends. And we just thought, well, that would be really cool to be in this space together. And so we were part of that project. And that opened in 2017, and it was great. We had a lot of fun. It was cool to have the challenge of having a second location, because having a culture in one place is one thing, but transferring that to a second place mm-hmm. with a second team and a different manager and a different location, that presents its own growing pain challenges. Mm-hmm. So it was a challenge figuring that out, because we didn't have a handbook. We don't have a franchising operating book to say how you do that, but we did the best we could. And then that location we stayed open as long as we could during COVID, but then the developers ended up closing that whole space. And so we thought, well, let's see if we can move somewhere. And that's why we're at our Clays Mill location now, which has been fantastic. And we love that space, and we love the neighborhood. And so it's become this other, it's different than here. But it kind of evolved in itself. It wasn't where we had a stake in the ground and said, well, we make this much, we need to open a different location. Yeah. It just kind of, our friends were doing something and we thought it was fun and cool and we wanted to be a part of it. And so it just happened that way. And this is what happens when you don't have a plan. It just, opportunities come up and you have to decide, do I want to pursue it? Is it something that's going to be good for the business and the brand? And so that's how it came about.
And you didn't really even start with the business plan. It was like you had the restaurant. Yeah. You were making ice cream at a very limited capacity. Right. Listening to customers, and you were like, maybe we could start something.
Right. Well, it became from people being loud enough and saying when the demand got loud enough, it was enough for me to say, okay, well, maybe we should do this. To quiet the people down, and then to, if there enough people are talking about it, there's probably more people that are feeling that way and maybe don't say something. And so maybe it's something that we should do.
And running a business is like super hard. It's like not easy to run businesses, especially in the business you're in with multiple retail locations. So are there like big moments that you can remember, some sort of huge challenge where you had to pivot or adapt and overcome?
Gosh. Yeah, so many pivots and challenges, especially, restaurants are hard already, and just making them work, having enough cash to keep going, having enough to do different projects if you want to do a marketing campaign. Like, there was never money for that. And, we've always built our business on having a great product, having amazing service. And, most of our marketing has been in-house, like marketing, and just working so damn hard and just working like crazy hours. But I think you can only do that when you really care about what you're doing. And when you love something so much, you're willing to be exhausted and wake up at 3 a.m. to go in the farmer's market. I've pulled all-nighters trying to get orders done for wholesale. We had a wholesale component, we still do. It's a little smaller than it used to be, but we used to be in Kroger. We're still in Whole Foods. And I remember that first Kroger order, we had to get special packaging for Kroger. And so when we went and had a meeting with the buyer, and they said, great, we would love to have you for this grand opening for the Kroger in Versailles, which was 6 weeks away. But we need you to have new packaging that has nutritional labels. And if you know anything about food labeling, it takes forever to get that stuff put together. Right. So I went directly from that office to our designer's office and said, please don't hate me, but I'm gonna need brand new designs with these elements that are required to go into Kroger. And I'm gonna need it done and printed in 6 weeks. And it was really crazy. They looked at me like, you're nuts. But we pulled it off, but there was a delay at the printer. So we had gotten all the designs done, got everything done, sent it off to the printer. There was like a week delay from the printer. And so I couldn't pre-label my ice cream. So I couldn't make the ice cream ahead of time. So I had to wait until the labels got here. And then I pulled in a 12-hour all-nighter to get all the ice cream done for this like pallet order by myself. I think Mike might have had a bourbon with me at 2 a.m. But then he left me, and I finished up, and then he came to help like pack at the end. But yeah, there's all sorts of stories like that of just, we have this goal. We have to, I don't do things half-ass. Try not to. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna meet this deadline. We're gonna do whatever it takes to do this. And so, yeah, there's multiple stories of things like that we have done. But I feel like us doing the extra mile, pulling the all-nighter, saying that we're not going to fail at this, saying we're not going to miss this deadline, we're not going to be those people, is like what has set us apart.
How many Kroger stores were you taking care of at your peak?
How many did we do? I want to say 4 or 5. I don't remember. It's been a long time.
And that's a lot to manage for like a big grocery chain like that.
Right. And they have their own rules, and it's just a whole nother thing to navigate. I think it took us 6 months to get into Whole Foods. And we're still in the Whole Foods here in Lexington. But yeah, wholesale is a whole nother beast to manage.
Do you still do wholesale for like smaller retailers?
We
like
do.
Private independent?
Yeah, I think we have five accounts that we service.
Okay.
So it's mostly Whole Foods, Good Foods, and Weta Michael restaurants.
Okay.
And that's it. And we had cut back during COVID, and then, wholesale is just a lot because there's a lot of things you have to manage, and then also your product becomes out of your control. And for us, it's so important that end of customer, like direct to customer experience, to make sure that we have partners that are able to give the same experience as if like they were here with us directly. So we've chosen to not pursue that side of the business as much, and felt like that's what we needed to get started, but it didn't make sense for us to keep expanding that.
Right. And you're probably doing enough volume via retail.
Right.
To where it doesn't really make sense to put all that time and effort into doing wholesale, make less margins, and have more, overhead, labor, gas, like a van, I'm sure transport.
Freezers breaking down all the time, and keeping up with equipment. Equipment itself is a big investment because we were providing freezers for our wholesale accounts.
Oh, wow.
And so it was so we would brand we would provide the freezer, we would brand it out, we would provide signage. It's a lot of effort, but it was a great way for us to get in front of people, because at the time we didn't have a retail spot, but now we have 2 retail spots, and now a third with the soft serve shop, Moby Cones, that has our pints available for people, and then we ship directly nationwide. So there's all these other avenues that make more sense for us to put product in.
So let's talk about the name Crank and Boom.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
So there's kind of 2 stories with the name. So if you want the short version of the story, Crank is the old-fashioned way of making ice cream. So one of the best compliments I feel like we could get is when someone comes and says, "This ice cream tastes like my grandma used to make me," like, old school, when you didn't have all these additives and stuff into the ice cream that's commercially made now. And so Crank is the old-fashioned way of making ice cream, and Boom is the flavor. So if you get a bourbon and honey ice cream, you will taste the bourbon, you will taste the honey very predominantly. And that's something that kind of spawns off of me being a Thai chef, is like, we want big flavors, big, bold flavors, so it's not subtle. So our strawberry ice cream, you had some of the strawberry flavors, it so hits you in the face. Like, we want the flavor to be there. So that's a short version of the story. But the name actually came from my college roommate. Her name is Katie Rankin, and her email address was K Rankin when she was in school. So her nickname was Crankin, and we still call her that today. She's still one of my best friends. And she married a guy named Brennan Bauma, and his nickname before they got together was Boom. So their couple name is Crankin' Boom. And when we met Brennan, we're like, oh, that's a cool name. We should name a business that. So I actually that day bought the domain name Crankin' Boom with a K, Crankin' and then Boom. And then this was before the ice cream. And then years later, when the ice cream, we didn't necessarily want to call it Thai Orchid Cafe ice cream, because we thought that would confuse people, thinking what's different about Thai ice cream? Well, it's not different other than a Thai lady made it.
Right.
So it's not, it's just regular ice cream. And so we wanted to give it its own brand and its own colors and its own thing, just in case something happened with it, which I feel like was good planning on our part.
Yeah.
We said, well, we'll try these other names, but it just felt right to call it Crankin' Boom for those reasons, like the easy, the shorter version, and then an homage to one of my best friends.
Did you have the vision for all the colors and the way the brand looks? It's very colorful, but also simplistic.
Yeah, we worked with a local branding company here, Bullhorn, and took a gamble and spent a good investment to for them to help do the branding. And we went through different names, and they nailed it. I mean, I kind of gave them notes and feelings that I wanted it to feel like. And I feel like they really hit it out of the park with the colors. And the purple is kind of a evolution from Thai Orchid, because Thai Orchid, our restaurant, had 3 different shades of purple, kind of, homage to the orchid. And important. And, the purple, the pink, it's just kind of bright and vibrant. And then just the essence of like being a craft ice cream place. So you'll see different browns that are like, and you'll see like our craft cups. So just things that kind of feel, like this fruit came from a farm, like the craftiness of it. But then I also feel like we've evolved into other colors and, making sure things feel fun and whimsical and lively, but, that it's still grounded in where we came from.
Yeah. And you used to write, you said before, you used to write all the labels. So on your printed packaging, it actually it is your handwriting, right? It
is, yeah. So it is my handwriting in digital form. So, once we got past to the point where it was starting to be very cumbersome writing hundreds and hundreds of labels.
Apparently you got to watch a lot of TV shows during that time too, just sitting there writing.
It was, yeah. You just take it home and write out what we needed to, or if there was some downtime, like already at the restaurant, that was a good little task for me to do while we had downtime. But yeah, it definitely has evolved, and I'm very nostalgic. And so I like to keep pieces of like our history and our past as a part of like what we're doing now. So this building, you'll see the mural, there is a noodle bowl that is paying homage to Thai and Mighty, a noodle stand that we had created that was an offshoot of our restaurant. And so I always want to remember where it came from, because that's so important.
All right, so who creates all the recipes? And I know that you also do like a lot of recipe development, new flavors every week. So who does all that?
So the team that you met at production, they do all of that. And, Rigo, who has been with me for 8 years and was our chef at Thai Orchid, he's been with me for so long. It's like his palate is my palate. We have worked together so much, and he has learned how to make the ice cream. And then Michelle, who's our director of production fulfillment, she is also a trained chef, as well as Sam, who you met, who's the assistant director. She's also a trained chef. So they have this huge wealth of knowledge and skill to be able to put these flavors together. So we usually set a date in December that we plan out all the flavors for the whole year. So this year, have all the flavors already planned out.
You already have a calendar.
Oh yeah, in December we plan it out.
That is some organization.
So it was not always that way. It usually was, what do we feel like doing next week? That is Christmas. So it's taken a lot of time to fine tune the process. But now we have our meeting. It takes about 2 hours usually, and we go over. And now we have a calendar that we've used last year, and we just take it, duplicate it, and then adjust it based on things we want to change, new flavors we want to do. But they are the ones, any new flavors, they're the ones that develop it. I feel like more flavors that are in rotation now are not my recipes anymore. So, I have recipes from the original lineup, and, I've worked with them and trained them on how I did it. But because of their skill set, they've been able to expand so much more about what we can do, which is why it's awesome to have a team, because I can't just do it by myself.
Yeah, you have a great team here.
Love our team.
Yeah, it seems like you built a really good culture here as well. You can feel it, through the production facilities and your retail locations as well.
Well, thank you for saying that. We love our people and try our best to take the best care that we can of them, and just try to love on them and appreciate them for all the work they do, because this is not me. It's them. It's everybody else doing all this work to put this together for people.
Yeah. Is there a moment, like your best memory of getting started with Crank and Boom?
Well, most of my memories are usually like moments of hardship. And I think it is important to me, because it's like, oh, we got through that, but we did that, and that's what got us to where we are. So, that first season that we were out doing events, and we had signed up for all these events, and we didn't know how much ice cream to make. I didn't know that a tub could feed this many scoops until you do it in reality. And we had made all this ice cream, had spent the week making ice cream for the Woodland Art Fair, and it's a 2-day festival. And by, I think, 8 o'clock on Saturday, all the product was gone. And, you know, we went through the ice cream making. It's like a 3-day process to make ice cream. And so we had no product to sell on Sunday, which was going to be equally as busy as Saturday. And so I had spent this whole week building up our inventory, and it was all gone. And so at 6 o'clock when we start, at 6 o'clock when we could tell that we were going to run out of everything, I went into the kitchen at Thai Orchid and literally made ice cream for probably 15 hours. And so I got more supplies in, I restocked, and ice cream is supposed to at least freeze 24 hours overnight. And so what we would do is the ones that I made at 6 only had 12 some hours to freeze, which is not necessarily good, but it was good enough to like get on site and start serving. But by the time we got to 2-3 o'clock, the festival ended at 5. 2-3 o'clock, the product that we were serving was getting soupy because it had not had time to set up.
Right.
And I said, well, don't serve people soup. And they said, but they still want it. And I thought, this is crazy. I mean, who is willing to have ice cream soup after waiting for 45 minutes in line in this hot day? And it gave me this sense of peace, like, oh, maybe we are doing the right thing, and that people are willing to even have our ice cream soup when it's not even frozen.
Yeah.
And just to know that that demand was there, because you can put something out in the world and it could be crickets, and you could have nobody be interested. And so to be able to come out of the gate and have so many people support us and love what we are doing and love the product it just made me so happy. Like, oh my God, this is crazy. All the time in those beginning years, like, this was crazy, you know, because we had a successful restaurant, but we didn't have 100 people in line outside. Right. And so it was just a whole different energy. And so those beginning years, I think I just love so much because we put so much sweat and tears and time and energy into it, and like kept doing it over and over. Like every Saturday, wake up at 3, even though I just went to bed at 1, and just, going through White Castle at 1 o'clock because we just need calories and nothing else is open when we're done. So I think once you live through those kind of fires, especially like Mike and I, like as a team doing that as a couple, it like really grounds you and it makes you appreciate all the things that we have now. Yeah. And that we've been able to grow to the level that we have.
Did you sell your mobile unit that you sold out of? Or?
No, we just had a cart, which we still have, and a tent. So we never had a food truck. Okay. But we were just this mobile operation, so we can go inside, outside. We still have the carts. We have considered bringing back that service. I was gonna ask. And we still do catering. We've done some special caterings for like UK football and some other clients, and we'll do weddings every once in a while. So that's like a whole nother operation. So it's one of those things, like we're all in, like you gotta be all in. And so we still have everything we need to do that if we wanted to.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. You say that it'll be fun.
That's how we kind of got started with their coffee company too.
It's
just like, we started making cold brew coffee. And it was like, how do we get in front of people? We need to go do events.
Yes.
We need to be at all of them.
Yes. I mean, it's a great tool to get. It's a great tool to get in front of people. And people who go to festivals, you might meet a new vendor or purveyor that you've never met before, and you get to try it. And it's just a nice way to market your business while also selling product as well. Right. In like a big concentrated crowd. Yeah,
but it's definitely like not something that I would do for a long period of time. It's like, I don't know how these food trucks do it all the time.
Yeah, you have to love. You have to love it. You have to love it deeply. And I will say, one of my, like a lot of my favorite memories are like slinging behind, our little noodle tent or doing ice cream, and just how crazy that is. But when you've grown up in a restaurant, there's something addictive about that chaos. Yeah. And like working through that chaos. And, even when emergencies happen, I don't panic as much because we've been in the field so much.
Yeah.
So many things have happened that have trained us to just kind of be calm in chaos.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just part of it. It's like loving chaos.
Yeah. So what's your favorite flavor?
So I have a lot of different favorite flavors. If I picked what is downstairs now, it's hard to pick. I really love the gooey butter cake.
Nice.
It's the cheesecake ice cream and then the homemade butter cake. It's just so good. And I would say one of my favorite flavors all time is honeycomb, which is a spring flavor. So we get local honey and actually make the honeycomb candy. Again, something I don't know how to do, but our amazing chefs know how to do. And then they put it in ice cream and it just phenomenal.
That's great.
Love it.
So last question.
Yeah.
What's the future of Crank and Boom look like?
Oh, that is a good question. I would also like to ask that
question.
I would love somebody to tell me the answer to that question because I don't know what the future is. But what I do know is I think we're really interested in sharing our story. So it's our 10th birthday for Crank and Boom.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well, thank you. This year, the brand launched in 2013. So it's been 10 years that we've been cranking this Crank and Boom thing. And, I've been an entrepreneur for about 20 years. And so half of that has been in the ice cream world. And so I know that we have, we've shared some of them here in this video with stories and just all the things that we have been through. And so I'm really interested in sharing the stories that we have. So we're starting a podcast. It's coming out in March as a platform to share stories. And for me, as a way to help people feel less alone who are doing this thing. Because you understand what it's like. It's a very lonely journey being an entrepreneur and owning a small business.
Absolutely.
When you have a big company, there's its own challenges, but there's a certain support system and a system in place. And when you have a small business that you've created or founded, there's no book, there's no plan.
Right.
And so that whole process, feeling like you don't know what the hell you're doing, is very lonely and isolating. So I'm hoping that by being able to share our stories, that we can help other people on their journey, whatever that looks like. So I'm really excited about sharing more stories and getting in front of people to tell them about what we have done in hopes that it will help people in what they're doing to live the life that they want to live. So no plans for more stores at the moment, but doing expansion in a different way and kind of being in this space to tell stories and to reach more people. And who knows what will come of that.
But if there's anybody out there on the internet that wants to buy her product, you can do that.
Yes, that's right.
What's the website?
Goldbelly.com. You can go to crankandboom.com if you're here locally, and you can order shipping, and it'll take you over to Goldbelly, which is our shipping partner. So we ship nationwide and to Canada if you would like to get Crank and Boom ice cream in your home. It's delicious.
And I packed the last couple boxes, so if you order online,
that's right.
My hands have touched it.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I really appreciate your time today. This has been awesome. This whole day has been great.
Thank you. Thank you
Getting
for
to know
coming.
you more and also your story more and seeing
you.
what you do behind the scenes has been really cool.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you all are here with me. It's been a good day.
Yeah, it's been a great day. All right. Well, stay tuned for more episodes of Adventures in Business. That's a wrap.
Yay.